the end of the show. But before we get there, gosh, we've been working away behind the scenes here for the past month on. Well, it's been longer than a month, I guess, to a certain extent, but for the past little bit here, kind of working on Giant Bomb. It's something we so rarely have had the chance to do over the years because it's just been this hand to mouth, like we don't plan more than 4 days ahead ever because it's this, their game's coming out. We're going to meet on Monday and plan this out. And there's no time to talk about any bigger picture stuff ever. And it's been frustrating over the years in a lot of different ways. So it's been nice to have this chunk of time to really kind of sit down and kind of think about where we're at and where we want to go. And it's been pretty exciting. Jeff Bakalar came over to kind of help out with those efforts and has been the contract man in some of this sort of stuff. Mr. Contract, they call him. The closer.
Yeah. That's his boxing.
I'm in Mega Man 11, actually. Contract man.
Yeah, contract man. You just
mistranslation.
Briefcase.
Yeah, just cease and desist to Mega Man. Just like, stop it. We own the shade of blue. It's not, yeah. But, like philosophically, I guess, like I have wanted to be able to expand and work with a wider swath of people. And in most cases, that's been, with the way we were kind of traditionally structured for a lot of years, we just weren't really set up to always really deal with, we need to get some guests in or hey, are we set up at all to do any kind of like paid, like basically work with other people and pay them and do the stuff you do when you work with other people who aren't necessarily employees. So we've been pushing in that direction. And we've finally kind of gotten there. We've gotten some people over the line, as they say, in that sort of thing. And so, like, this kind of gets us to where we can kind of start to work with more of those people without having to just like always hire. And it lets us kind of separate some things in a way that lets us think about the internal team, right? We're like, okay, what do we want here? Not 24/7, but the kind of full-time complement of Giant Bomb, and then also the kind of content platform of Giant Bomb. And so as such, we've been talking to folks for this kind of like first phase of this to work on kind of getting them in here so that they can make cool shit. At the end of the day, I just want to make cool shit. And if we can also help other people make cool shit, like this company that picked us up earlier this year, they're like, hey, we got some money. How do you want to spend it? I was like, I want to spend it helping people make cool shit. So we're going to take their money and feed it to our friends. And
we're just laundering is what
and get it out there.
Pokemon cards ain't going to pay for himself, buddy.
Exactly, baby. No, so it gives us this opportunity to kind of do more stuff and not always be locked into like, oh, we added this thing and now it's going to happen for every week from here to eternity. And so it lets us kind of think about shows the way we always wanted to think about shows, which was like sort of seasonally, in terms of like, hey, you're a person who doesn't work here, but you're a person that we, want to do stuff with, but you obviously also have like 6 other jobs. So does this time frame work? Hey, maybe you come in and do 6 episodes of this, and then you go back and you're busy for 8 months, and you come back and do some more, or maybe and maybe there's some people that are more available that we work with on a more regular basis. So it's this kind of open-ended thing in a way too, where different people are going to be in different circumstances, and that kind of brings us to the most particular circumstance, I think, and that's Danny O'Dwyer.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily
tiny number one, baby.
And I guess it sounds like as well, we'll get into it, I'm not necessarily the template for the way this is going to work with everyone else.
Sure.
Because I'm going to be on the sort. How are you delineating like the house shows or the like what are quick looks on Bombcast and stuff like that to everything else?
Right. I mean, I think that'll be kind of like core team, core coverage type stuff, right? The stuff that we are kind of known for. It's editorial coverage at the end of the day. I think, you know, at least so far, but because a lot of the pitches I think we've been getting aren't things that you would necessarily think of as like editorial coverage of new releases and that sort of stuff. So, you know, I think that's the sort of stuff that we will probably continue to take on in this capacity. And yes, Danny is not maybe the typical example of this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
As we're bringing on Danny for more than just the kind of pitch a show type stuff.
Yeah,
maybe.
What do you
do you want to go back, or will I?
Well, I was going to say, like, let's swing back around to you because I definitely want you to have at least 11 to 12 seconds to speak about what exactly you want to do. No, but I think to your point, Jeff, like, you know, I think it's important to realize, like you said, the relationship that we are having with these contributors that we are bringing along is going to be a unique kind of relationship, and like you said, sometimes temporary, and you know, it kind of exists outside of that core thing that you alluded to. But there are a couple parties that we'd like to talk about today, and then I want to swing back around to Danny just to get maybe 3 to 4 seconds of.
You keep giving him less and less time.
Just 2.5.
I know, right? What's going on?
The sand's falling out of the hourglass.
Dude, I charge by the hour. Give me something more than that. Come on.
All right, we'll do 59 minutes. So, like Jeff said, getting to talk and work with our friends is, you know, the immediate sort of goal of all this. So, I'm excited. We're gonna be working with a very noted scoop getter, newsman. An all-around, seemingly very huggable individual. Jeff Grubb is going to be coming around to help us out with
another Jeff.
Too many Jeffs.
Fill out your bingo cards.
Basically,
another Jeff.
Once we got to a point where there had to be more than one Jeff, which I was already pissed off about because my contract was specific about only being one. But once we got
thank
to
you
two,
for altering that. Thank you for opening up the Jeff clause. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I trust that you'll be sending the payment as we agreed upon.
Yeah.
And so if we're gonna have more than one Jeff, let's get them all in one way, shape, or form. So you know,
just the J Jeffs though. Just the J
exactly
Jeffs.
The real exactly. Where is Jeff?
The
Green?
real Jeffs.
Sorry,
no
Keely.
Can we get my barber for another Jan? Is that possible?
Ooh.
I don't know if you want to open that door.
Jan.
What?
It's crazy.
He's all.
You got any Jasons or Daniels in there at all?
I know a few. Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll see if we can bring them on board.
Let's keep going through our little list here. So yes, Jeff Grubb is going to be working with us on a Giant Bomb show, and we'll have more information about that very soon. We've been wanting to work with our friends at GameSpot for a long time, and we finally can make something official. Starting very soon, I'm going to be joining Tamor Hussein and Lucy James in a brand new show for Giant Bomb that we're very excited to get going on. We're going to be talking a lot more about that after E3. And before we loop back around to Danny for his 1 second of information,
I can't believe you've done this. I can't believe you've done this to me.
What we can announce today is a collaboration with someone who, to be honest, I have very mixed feelings about.
Yeah.
Same.
This is something we've thought long and hard about, but ultimately, we think it's best that we continue to make content together in some form. So this summer, Dan Reichert and I will be starting a new show for Giant Bomb.
Disgusting.
And
sorry, Jason.
It feels icky to say it, but Dan Reichert and I will be doing a show for Giant Bomb, and you know that I think it's worth saying that this is the beginning of that sort of stuff. I think you know there's a lot of things that I would love to talk about today that we are still working on that I'm personally excited about, but we're just not there yet. This is an evolving story. This is a growing list, but this is what we can talk about right now. And I've decided that, Danny, maybe you get as much time as you want to talk about some of your stuff, my friend.
The hour's not up, so I mean, take your time.
I mean, you're on the clock, buddy. Have at it.
Well, it doesn't really matter what I want to do now, because all that's going to happen is people are going to say, "Oh, great, Dancers has to come back." Like that's all anyone's going to say to me. So, hilariously, myself and Reichert have not talked about this at all privately because I wasn't supposed to know, and he was. So now I'm looking forward to chatting to him about that, about him coming on. I'm just so excited about the prospect.
You may have both known also. Like I'm trying to think through if you both knew.
Like ships in the night.
Yeah, we're just texting about other stuff the whole time and just never bringing it up. You know, just it's just I love I'm a big I'm here on the Bombcast, but you see all this shit behind me. I'm a big fanboy of this site, and I love the idea of this. Like it's almost become like SmackDown or Raw, like this just like constantly changing roster of like cool people coming in. So I'm excited to be working with you guys a bunch. It's been a lot of fun doing the Bombcast, man. Like, it's one less podcast I get to listen to a week. So that was problematic. Maybe that was the only bad thing. And then the Beastcast stopped. So I'm kind of stuck right now. But it's like a dream come true. And I love talking to you guys. And I'm really happy to be here on the Bombcast for the, future, however long that is, you know what I mean? I've been talking to the various Jeffs about this and everyone else, and I'm going to be on the Bombcast every week. I'm going to be chipping in on quick looks. There has been a serious deficit in European sports on this website, I think, so maybe I can help with some of that stuff. The live streams, the E3 stuff I'll be in on, so wherever there are a bunch of Jeffs, there'll probably be me and Jan and Jason in the future. And then like the stuff that I'm really, really excited about as well is I have 10 plus years of weird shows that I would have dreamed about doing on this website that now are suddenly possible. I also, thanks to our amazing patrons, have access to shitloads of really good camera equipment and production setup. And as much as I love the remote stuff, I really want to get some of that stuff out and collaborate with you guys and record some new weird shows and meet space. And I don't know. I did a vlog on this, which I'll post after this, where I talk about some of this, but I am of the mind, I want to create chaos. I just want to make the weirdest stuff and go to Target with Jan to record Pokemon cards, or film Jason talking about his favorite fighting games. Just there's a million and one different things I want to do, and we'll talk about it. Some of the stuff has already been sort of like planned, and I've been talking to some of the other folks you mentioned about doing stuff. So we'll talk about sort of what those are after E3, but it's gonna be a blast. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, I think that for me, that's kind of the core thing is I want this website to be weird. I want this website to be less predictable than maybe it has been in the past. And for me, that's like, but we still have the tent poles, right? I mean, there's still a giant Bombcast every goddamn Tuesday, whether you like it or not, motherfuckers. That Friday live show is sticking around. We've got
real aggro now.
That's right. God damn it. God damn, pal. We want to make sure that we're creating space for things to shift around, and that includes us as well. That's not just like, hey, we're going to bring in this weird menagerie of fun talent to bounce off of and do cool stuff and all that. Like, I think that helps kind of get us out of some of that. It has been a rut at times over the years, and I think it's time for this thing to really change. And part of that is just to keep it fresh, but also, in a lot of ways, this gives us the opportunity to really kind of push the reset button on a lot of stuff. We made a lot of decisions in 2008 that I look at now in terms of like how games are covered and all this other stuff. And I want to be able to ask the questions about like, hey, is this still the right way to do this? Like, it's very easy to get locked into stuff because you're like, well, the numbers say this and this proves it works and this proves this. But like, really, we've just got an opportunity to really rethink what it means to be covering games in 2022, and what does that look like now? What is the website? What is the video service? Whatever you want to call it, the podcast network. We'll see where we get to with all of this stuff, right? Like what is that? What is the thing that we ourselves would want to use to get this information? And so I want to be able to, whether that's facilitating cool shit by other people that we're working with and all that sort of stuff, or also opening more doors for us to really kind of explore game coverage all over again. I think that's the big draw, is to be able to really make a lot of changes to what's going on, and kind of make sure it makes sense for the way game information is presented nowadays. Like preview of, look at what E3 is like. It's like 5 live streams. It's and then Capcom's going to talk about games that are already out and this sort of stuff. Like, everything is weird, and everything will be weird again next year because we'll be talking about physical events again, I hope. And so the video game industry has changed a lot, and it's beyond time for us to be able to really look at that change and see what amount of that change we want to reflect in the way that we're covering games. And for me, I think that's been the really exciting part about all this, is to feel like we kind of have not quite a blank canvas, right? We have years of legacy, and years of experience to draw upon, but we really get to rethink this stuff in a way that we wouldn't have had, we not found ourselves under new ownership in a weird way. Like, that's kind of been the catalyst for some of this stuff. And I was about to throw a previous owner of this company under the bus, but I'm not going to bother.
No, but to your
there
point,
are people to listen to the pitches now. How about that?
Yeah, look, I think we've been pretty transparent about the fact that we feel like we are in a really good position, and we are, situated in a way that gives us this flexibility, gives us this, let's be honest, budget to explore and do stuff that, even before I arrived and we just seemed like we were not able to do in a meaningful way. And to have that support means a lot, and it feels good. And how can you not get excited about that, right? Like, so yeah.
I'm excited from like just looking at the way the site has been and what you guys are talking about, and also like this from you're kind of talking about it now, but like the later phases of this also like seem really interesting and weird, and like I'm really enjoying just how nimble everything is, like from here on out. Like, it seems like there's less from like a content perspective of like making different types of things. I think this puts everyone in a really good position to like react and make something really weird. Like, there's no need anymore, because if I was pitching a show to a Giant Bomb a year ago, there's a need to have it fit into the programming in a particular way, right? Include certain people, or be this way or be this way. But the way you're talking to, and I know some of the projects that are being talked about, it just has this sense. It's hard to put words to it, but from a creative perspective, it has a sort of the further you go from the norm, actually, the better. Like, let's fill out the space rather than stay here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I would love to, I think there are a ton of different directions to take it, and I think that I am, like, there's like several outcomes that I'm like totally happy with, right? Like, if we get to like phase 12 or, whatever, and this happens or this happens, I think some of that'll be guided by the market and what people are into, and that sort of stuff. But like, there are various scenarios where we get to the end of this and we've got a wrestling website again, or they're back on the table, right? That was years ago. That was something that we were very close to pulling the trigger on when we were an independent company, and the fact that WWE was suing YouTube was the only thing that stopped us from pursuing it, because it was like, Vince McMahon's pretty Sue happy. I don't know if we want to launch a wiki with a bunch of photos of John Cena in it right now. But you know,
but you can't see him anyway. So
well, yeah, it'd just be a bunch of black. It'd be like the F1 franchise page. So you know, so there's stuff like that, and you know, and I think right now the current website that we have doesn't necessarily reflect where I think we're going to go. So I think there's, you know, like we rebuilt it all for shows, and just like, here's going to be shows and seasons and all this structure. And I think as we built more and more of that structure, suddenly the content had to fit that structure, and it became this weirdly confining thing in a sense of just like, especially during the early days of the pandemic, when we're just like, we just want to fucking stream and just like do some cool shit and just like have some fun and chat with folks and do this. It's like, well, I guess we got to create a show page for a catch-all for this, for that. And it was just like, this thing is not flexible the way it needs to be, or whatever. But you know, the podcast is the center of what we do. It always has been. And so I look at that as the centerpiece, and that's not currently well represented on the website we have today. But I think that, you know, as we kind of go in different directions, I think we'll be able to kind of reassess that sort of stuff. The engineering team is working day and night, I bet, on a lot of the video changes that have to happen as a result of the sale of the company. There's just a lot of things happening under the hood right now that aren't giving us quite the, you know, we can't go to them right now and be like, redesign the site like this, you know, but like I want to eventually redesign this website again to kind of better fit what we're talking about and better present us for what we're doing. You know, because I think that that's not to say all the decisions we made building the current version of the website were the right decisions at the time. And as we got into it, I think it's one of those things where it's like, we're ready for something else. This is close, but it's not quite right, and we need to rethink this stuff again, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of stuff that comes with it, but whatever. That's, you know, that's all around the edges. The core of it is we want to work with people, and we're, you know, there's other people that we've talked to that have not appeared on this site before, or there are people who have not, or are not traditional people that you would think of as covering video games. And Woo! Like some of that stuff's really exciting, and we'll kind of see how that stuff comes together. But, you know, like it's stuff that's all contract talk and pitches and all this other stuff. And, you know, and I think I want to talk to the people out there that are watching and be like, hey, you know, as we get into this stuff and as we start kind of green lighting some of these concepts and get things on the site, like I want to see how it's going to do, and we'll see what people like and what people don't like, and other people out there in the community that you know that want to pitch us. We're probably not ready for those pitches just yet, but you know, there's always room for some kind of mahjong nightmare or something. There's always something, right? There's
wait, should I get are we hiring my grandma?
Yeah. Tell your grandma to make a deck.
Yeah. Oh, dude, let's go.
No,
be right back.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely want to also, you know, talking to the audience. So, there's a bit of thanks that has to be directed at them, because this last month, there's a lot of understanding that had to sort of happen, and support. And, I think I speak on behalf of anybody where we say that we appreciate that to an endless degree. And, now's the fun part. Now's the part where we start to ramp up and kind of show what's been going on. So,
thanks for sticking with us, for sure. This is stuff we had been talking about for a while, and then kind of got accelerated a little bit as some other stuff happened. And, we've been digging into it and chewing our way through it. And it's been exciting to watch it all develop. And so it's pretty cool. I think it'll be pretty cool. I think people will dig it. And, like I said, we're, still kind of figuring out some aspects of this, the traditional, who is the traditional person that we're going to sign on for one of these deals, and who, like, what is the structure of that? Like, that's all kind of, there's no maybe is no template for it, because I think we're going to have different people in different situations doing different stuff, and maybe someone comes in and just does one thing, and they're just like, cool, we did this, and then they bounce to get back to their day job of dropping elbows and whatever else. But like there's just like all sorts of stuff like that. So I think there's just there's just a lot of opportunity out there, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to go through this and find some more folks to work with and blow this thing out. Have some fucking fun. Get fucking weird. I'm
ready.
Sure. Like frankly, when I was I had to make a choice as well whether or not this was something. I was happy to come in and hang out and just fill a seat for a little while, but like I had to make a choice of like, is this a place that I have a day job, I have a busy thing. No Clip's not going anywhere. I still have a 4-minute podcast. I'm busy, and my main concern was like, is there still fight in these guys? Like, is there energy here? Do people want to do something? And like, we've all got really complicated lives. We've a lot of family stuff. The pandemic's been crazy. I wouldn't have begrudged anyone for wanting to coast, right? Like, absolutely. Creatively, I was like, if I want to be part of this, then I want everyone else to have that energy. And that's the thing that struck me right away from talking to you guys was, oh yeah, you're fucking in for, like, I feel more energy now than I have since I was, since I chipped in before. Like you can feel it in the room, the sort of desire to like make this weird and make it big and really break the box open. So, I'm really grateful to be here, but I think the audience should know that there's been so much positivity and energy behind this thing that I'm just really excited to see where it goes.
Right on.
Yeah, same here. So that's E3 stuff is obviously happening over the course of this week, and Danny's going to be here with that stuff, and some of these other shows are going to be developed. And I see some folks in chat kind of asking about premium and not premium and stuff, and I think that's something that may end up being case by case depending on some of these shows, and I think some of the structure of that maybe changes to where there's like, okay, we're going to put highlights up for everybody, but the full shows are behind the wall, or maybe the first episode's free, or this, just in all honesty, like that's all stuff that we're kind of working out. So but the intent is definitely that the intent here overall is to make sure that you are getting value for your money. Like that is the desire, is to make sure that the people that have been sticking with us and signing up for premium are getting a bunch of cool shit. So, we'll have more to say as we kind of get this stuff signed on. So cool. Why don't we take a break and come back, and I'll talk about my broken computer